need to tell you something that most dentists won't say out loud. Not because it's a secret, but because it changes the way you think about plaque. And once you understand this, you'll realize why that rough feeling on your teeth, the one that comes back every morning no matter what you do, might not be your fault at all. But here's what worries me. Most people don't notice it until it's already too late, until the damage has quietly moved past the surface, into the gums, into the foundation, and by then the options become fewer, more expensive, and a lot more invasive. So if you've ever woken up running your tongue across your teeth and felt that texture, that buildup that shouldn't be there, or if you've looked in the mirror lately and wondered if your gums look different than they used to, a little more exposed, a little less pink, then what I'm about to share might be the most important thing you hear this week. Because this isn't about brushing harder. It's not about buying another product. It's about understanding one specific window of time that most people completely ignore. Let me ask you something. Have you ever brushed your teeth at night, flossed, maybe even used mouthwash, and still woke up the next morning with the same filmy, rough feeling coating your teeth? Like no matter what you did the night before, something came back while you were sleeping? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. And here's the unsettling part. That's not just plaque you're feeling. That's the result of what happens in your mouth during the 7 to 8 hours you're asleep, when your saliva flow nearly stops, when bacteria multiply faster than at any other time of day, and when everything you thought you cleaned off starts to harden. Most people think plaque is just food stuck on teeth, but it's not. It's a living biofilm, a colony of bacteria that doesn't just sit there. It builds, it strengthens, it burrows into the spaces between your teeth and gums. And every night you go to bed without addressing it properly, you're giving it another 8 hours to do exactly that. Now I know what you might be thinking, but I brush twice a day. I use good toothpaste. I even floss sometimes. And I believe you. But here's the problem. Most people over 55 start to notice. And it's something the dental industry doesn't talk about enough. As we age, our mouths change. Saliva production decreases. Gum tissue becomes more delicate. The enamel that protected our teeth for decades starts to thin. And suddenly, the same routine that worked for years stops working the same way. You're not doing anything wrong. Your mouth is just responding to time. And plaque knows it. It adapts. It takes advantage of those changes. And if you've been feeling like your teeth aren't as strong as they used to be, or your gums seem to be pulling back just a little more each year, that's not in your head. That's real. And it's progressive. But here's the surprising part. The solution isn't more products. It's not a more complicated routine. In fact, it's almost the opposite. Because what I've discovered, and what a growing number of people are starting to quietly use, is something so simple, it almost sounds too easy to work. 1 teaspoon of a specific mixture, taken right before bed. Not brushed, not swished aggressively. Just held in the mouth for a few minutes, then gently moved around before spitting out. And the reason this works when so many other things don't, comes down to timing. You see, most oral care focuses on cleaning after the damage is done, scrubbing away plaque that's already formed, fighting bacteria that's already colonized. But what if instead of fighting, you simply made it harder for plaque to survive in the first place? That's the shift, and it happens during sleep, because that's when your mouth is most vulnerable. Now, let me be clear about something. I'm not a dentist. I'm not selling you a miracle cure. And I'm not saying you should stop brushing, stop flossing, or stop seeing your dental professional. What I am saying is this. There are certain natural ingredients that have been studied, seriously studied, for their ability to disrupt the bacterial environment in your mouth. Not by killing everything indiscriminately like harsh chemicals do, but by creating conditions where harmful bacteria simply can't thrive. Coconut oil, for example. You've probably heard of oil pulling. Maybe you've even tried it. But most people give up because it feels too long, too messy, too awkward. Here's what they don't tell you. You don't need to swish for 20 minutes. You don't need to do it first thing in the morning when you're rushed. You just need to do it at the right time, with the right combination, in a way that actually fits into your life. Because multiple studies have shown that lauric acid, the primary fatty acid in coconut oil, has potent antimicrobial properties. It reduces Streptococcus mutans, the bacteria most responsible for tooth decay and plaque formation. It doesn't just mask the problem, it interrupts the process. Then there's clove. Not the whole spice sitting in your pantry, but clove oil, or specifically the compound eugenol, which has been used in dentistry for over a century. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and one of the few natural substances that can actually penetrate biofilm, that sticky layer plaque uses to protect itself. And when you combine these with one or two other carefully chosen ingredients, timed right before sleep when your mouth enters its most vulnerable state, you're not adding another step to your routine. You're replacing the window where plaque wins. Let me tell you what happened when I first tried this. I didn't expect much, honestly. I'd tried so many things over the years. Whitening strips, prescription toothpaste, expensive electric toothbrushes that promised everything. And sure, some of them worked. For a while. But the plaque always came back. That rough, filmy feeling. That sense that something was building up no matter what I did. So when I heard about this method, I was skeptical. But it was simple enough that I figured, why not? 1 teaspoon. Right before bed, just held in my mouth while I finished getting ready for sleep, then swished gently and spit out. The first night, nothing dramatic. The second night, same. But by the third or fourth morning, I noticed something. My teeth felt smoother. Not like I'd just brushed them, but smoother than they usually felt even after brushing. And my gums, they looked less red, less irritated. I kept going. And by the end of the first week, that rough texture I used to wake up with every single morning, it was gone. Not masked, not temporarily cleaned away. Gone. And here's the part that really got me. It stayed gone. Because I wasn't just cleaning plaque anymore. I was preventing the environment that allows it to form in the first place. That shift, from reactive to preventive, is everything. Now I want to address something important. If you're sitting there thinking, this sounds too simple to work, I get it. We've been conditioned to believe that real solutions have to be complicated. That if it's easy, it's probably not effective. But here's what I've learned. Complexity is often the enemy of consistency, and consistency is the only thing that actually works long term. Think about it. How many times have you started a new dental routine, bought the products, set the reminders, committed to doing it every day, only to give up after a week or two because it was just too much to maintain? You're tired at night. You forget a step. You run out of one product and don't replace it right away. And slowly, the whole thing falls apart. That's not a failure of willpower. That's a failure of design. Because the best routine in the world is useless if you can't stick to it. And that's why this method works for so many people, especially those of us over 55 who are dealing with real life. Fatigue, busy schedules, bodies that don't recover the way they used to. 1 teaspoon, 1 minute before bed. That's it. No special equipment, no multiple steps, no wondering if you're doing it right. You just do it, and your mouth does the rest while you sleep. But let me tell you what most people get wrong. They think plaque is just a cosmetic issue. Something that makes your teeth look a little yellow, feel a little rough. Annoying, sure, but not serious. And that's the dangerous part. Because plaque doesn't stay on the surface. Left unchecked, it hardens into tartar, a calcified substance that you can't remove with brushing. It requires professional tools, a dental visit, sometimes multiple cleanings. But even worse, it starts to push under the gum line. And once it gets there, it triggers inflammation. Your gums become swollen, tender, and they start to pull away from your teeth. You might notice a little bleeding when you brush. You might see more of your tooth than you used to because the gum tissue is receding. That's not aging. That's periodontal disease. And here's the statistic that should make everyone over 50 pay attention. Nearly 70% of adults over 65 have some form of gum disease. Most don't even know it until they're sitting in a dentist's chair being told they need deep cleanings, scaling, sometimes even surgery. And the worst part? It's almost entirely preventable. Not with expensive treatments. Not with complicated interventions. With daily habits that actually address the root cause. Bacterial colonization during sleep. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you woke up and your mouth felt truly clean? Not minty from toothpaste, not temporarily fresh from mouthwash, but genuinely clean, smooth, like there was nothing coating your teeth. If you can't remember, that's your sign, because that rough texture, that filmy feeling, that hint of bad breath even after brushing, those aren't just minor annoyances. They're early warning signs. Your mouth is telling you that the bacteria are winning. And every morning you wake up feeling that way is another day that plaque is hardening, tartar is building, and your gums are slowly losing their grip on your teeth. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because I wish someone had told me years ago. Before I spent hundreds of dollars on products that didn't work. Before I sat through painful deep cleanings that could have been avoided. Before I looked in the mirror one day and realized my gums had receded so much that my teeth looked longer than they used to. Now, here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about replacing your dentist. This isn't about skipping your regular checkups or ignoring professional advice. This is about taking control of the one window of time that matters most and that most people completely ignore. Because your dentist sees you twice a year, maybe 3 times if you're diligent. But plaque, it's working every single night. And if you're not doing something during those critical hours while you sleep, you're leaving the door wide open. That's where this method comes in. Not as a replacement, as a reinforcement. Something so simple, so consistent, that it becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to motivate yourself. You just do it because it takes less effort than brushing your teeth, and the results speak for themselves. Let me tell you about something I started noticing after a few weeks. My gums stopped bleeding. I hadn't even realized they were bleeding regularly until they stopped. Just a little bit when I flossed, or sometimes when I bit into something firm. I'd gotten so used to it that I thought it was normal. It's not. Bleeding gums are a sign of inflammation. And inflammation is your body's way of saying, something is wrong here. But after just 2 weeks of using this method, 1 teaspoon before bed every night, the bleeding stopped completely. My gums looked healthier, pinker, firmer. And for the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't just managing a problem. I was reversing it. That feeling, it's hard to describe. But if you've ever felt like your oral health was slowly slipping away from you, like you were losing a battle you didn't even know you were fighting, finally getting it back is powerful. It's not just about your teeth. It's about confidence. It's about not worrying every time you smile. It's about not dreading your next dental appointment because you know what they're going to say. It's about control. But here's the part that really matters. You can't get this time back. Every night you go to bed without addressing the bacterial environment in your mouth is another night that plaque hardens, gums weaken, and the foundation of your teeth becomes a little less stable. And I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. Oral health doesn't decline suddenly. It happens slowly, quietly, night after night, until one day you wake up and realize it's too late to prevent the damage. Now you're just trying to manage it. So the real question isn't whether this method works. It's whether you're willing to do something about it tonight. Because the truth is, most people won't. They'll watch this video, nod along, maybe even save it for later, and then go to bed the same way they always have. And tomorrow morning, they'll wake up with that same rough feeling, that same concern. And they'll tell themselves they'll deal with it eventually. But eventually never comes. And that's how people end up in the dentist's chair 5 years from now, hearing words like bone loss and extraction, and wondering how it got this bad. So here's what I want you to do. If you've felt that rough texture on your teeth in the morning, if you've noticed your gums pulling back, even just a little, if you've tried products that didn't work or routines you couldn't maintain, if you're tired of feeling like your oral health is slipping away and there's nothing you can do about it, then I've left something for you. In the first link in the description, there's a practical guide that walks you through exactly how to do this. The ingredients, the timing, the simple steps that take less than 2 minutes before bed. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It's just effective. And if you're serious about taking control of your oral health, not next week, not after your next dentist appointment, but tonight, then click that link and take a look. You'll also find the same method explained clearly in the pinned comment for anyone who wants to stop plaque from continuing to build and avoid the risk of weakening teeth over time. Because here's the thing, I can't make you do this. No one can. But I can tell you that the people who start tonight, the ones who take this seriously and make it part of their routine, are the ones who wake up 2 weeks from now with smoother teeth, healthier gums, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing they're finally doing something that works. And the people who don't, they'll still be searching for the answers 6 months from now. Still waking up with that same problem. Still wondering why nothing seems to help. Let me leave you with one last thought. You know that feeling when you leave the dentist after a cleaning? When your teeth feel smooth, your gums feel tight, and your whole mouth just feels reset? Imagine waking up feeling close to that every single morning. Not because you had a professional cleaning, but because you did something simple the night before that prevented plaque from ever taking hold in the first place. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when you stop fighting plaque after it forms and start preventing the environment where it thrives. 1 teaspoon before bed, every night. That's all it takes. And if you want to know exactly what's in that teaspoon, the specific ingredients, the exact method, the science behind why it works, everything is waiting for you in the description. Don't wait until the next dental appointment to take action. Don't wait until the problem gets worse. Start tonight. Your future smile will thank you. If this kind of content makes sense to you, if you want more insights like this, grounded in real understanding and practical routines that actually fit into your life, subscribe to this channel, because there's a lot more coming, and each video builds on the last, helping you take back that quiet confidence, one simple step at a time. See you in the next one.